Good morning, guys. So we are looking a little bit more smarter than usual. We are off to work. First time since Dubai, so bit of a shock to the old body clock. It is now 6:20. Got an early morning meeting, so that's why we're not going to the gym first thing. Just about to pack my bag for the day, get a protein shake in me because I haven't really got time to make something. And then we're going to get the day going. Few filming restrictions where I work, so you probably won't see me for another 8-9 hours. But hey, let's see what the day's got. Good evening, team. So, quick update for you. So, been to work, did go to the coffee shop just to catch up on what I was supposed to do yesterday. It did the trick, so blasted through a blog which is just about complete. So I'm going to try and finish that off tonight. We just wanted to give you just a quick hello, so the video is not about 1 minute long today. So I'm just going to have something to eat, and then we're going to crack through and record the Q&A, finish off the blog, edit a bit of today's footage, and then call it a day. I think this is going to be sort of, when I thought about doing the daily vlogs, I knew this would be the type of day where the challenge comes, and whether I can actually do this on a daily basis, because going to work for 8, 9, 10 hours a day, going to the gym, preparing food, preparing meals, doing all this sort of stuff, doing blogs, podcasts, daily vlogs, all this sort of stuff. And then not to mention clients and programs and things like that. So it all builds up to a mass of work that is quite difficult to get through. And if adding daily vlogs on that, I was kind of unsure whether it would just kind of break me almost. But I'm kind of thinking about it in the terms of how people I work with look at their fitness goals. So they've got really busy lives already, and then trying to add in going to the gym, looking after their nutrition on a daily basis, it's difficult. So I'm kind of treating the daily vlogs as my nutrition or my going to the gym type goal, and kind of using the strategies that I give other people to get through those things by creating habits and creating small changes that build up into bigger things. I'm hoping that that is my ticket to making sure that I can deliver on these daily vlogs. So day one is a challenge, but we are getting through day one and we'll be on to day two. Okay guys, so we've got phone here and we are going to go through a few questions that people have been asking. Got a question here about can't gain muscle, can't lose body fat. What do I need to do? So in this scenario, you kind of either need to do one or the other in terms of trying to be optimal. So if you want to build muscle and that's your main priority, then where you want to start is your calories, as with most things. You want to put yourself in a calorie surplus, and that means eating more calories than your body needs on a daily basis to sustain its current weight. And I would recommend starting with a 10% uplift in your calories. That puts you in a mild calorie surplus, so you're not going crazy and eating bucket loads of food, and you're not going to gain a ton of unnecessary body fat. Yes, you are going to increase body fat percentage a little bit, but that's going to be optimal for building muscle. So calorie surplus to build muscle. Go up to about 15 to 17%, depending on what you feel comfortable with, before you then consider starting to cut down. That gives you So depending on your start point, it should give you enough time to build a decent amount of muscle, and then you want to then cut down and then go to whatever body fat percentage you think you want to get to moving forward. The reason why you would go into 10% and not more is that effectively, if you're adding a lot of body fat, then your subsequent cut down is going to be a lot more difficult. It's going to be longer. You're going to probably not be as motivated to try and get through that entire cut cycle, as you have to keep cutting and cutting and cutting for a longer period of time. So, and it's also not necessary. You don't need to put on a ton of body fat to build muscle. So in terms of being optimal, 10% is broadly speaking the range you want to be at. Now, obviously with all these calculations, they're all averages of averages and other people's experiences. So what you want to do is find what the balance is for you. So start at 10%, do it for a few weeks, see how you get on, and then adjust until you get to the point where you're feeling comfortable in terms of the amount of weight, muscle, body fat increases that you're getting. And in terms of losing body fat, effectively what you want to be doing is going into calorie deficit, so eating fewer calories than your body needs. And you want to kind of start around, I'd recommend 20% under your maintenance calories. That'll be sort of a reasonably aggressive cut. So effectively you're trying to get that process over as quickly as possible. Now, if you're say a pro bodybuilder or something like that, you may want to extend that process a bit longer. But for the average Joe, 20% calorie deficit will be the optimum in terms of reducing body fat at a decent rate and not being in a deficit for ages and ages and ages. And obviously that depends on your start point, so you may want to go through a couple of different cycles about bouncing back up to a maintenance level to give yourself a bit of a break, probably more mentally than anything else, before continuing with the cut again. And if your intention is to then bulk up after that, cut down to about 10% body fat for a man, 20%-ish for a woman, and then bulk up based on that. Okay, what have we got next? Barry is saying he lacks discipline at night. Any tips? So yeah, there's a couple of things you can do here. So number one would be you can backload your calories into the evening. And by that I mean that, traditional sort of bodybuilding diets would have you eating every 2 or 3 hours, so that you're not turning into this catabolic state where your body is eating away at that precious muscle for fuel. Studies have shown that that's not really the case. You don't need to fuel every 2 or 3 hours, and you can be much more relaxed with your meal timing strategies. And the best meal timing strategy is one that works for you and one that means you can be consistent on a regular basis. So if eating more calories at night stops you from overeating and going and binging on stuff in the cupboard, then do that. Absolutely go and do that. Probably you want to focus a little bit of your meal timing on pre and post workout nutrition, so making sure that's right and that's optimal, so you're fueling your workout, getting a bit of protein and carbs before you train, and then after you train you're getting some good protein and good carbs as well. But other than that, do what works for you. So in this case, Barry, backload your calories towards the end of the day, save up all that good stuff that you'll probably be eating earlier on in the day, and just have a bigger meal at night so you feel full and you won't feel like you want to go and reach in the cupboards for the biscuits, the cookies, or whatever it is that's taking you off track. Now the other thing you could do is you could keep a more traditional sort of meal timing strategy where everything is a little bit more even throughout the day, and then you can just swap around your food choices. So in the evening, when you're looking for something to fill you up, go for volume. So for example, 100 grams of pasta has the same amount of calories as 200 grams of average green vegetables. So that means you can have twice as much vegetables in terms of volume versus cooked pasta. So think about those sorts of things when you're going to select the foods that you want to eat later in the evening. You can pile your plate high full of vegetables for a relatively low calorie count. So that will make you feel full. Again, it'll give you less likelihood that you're going to go off and binge eat in the cupboards, that's to say. Another guy, Lee's asking, what are the right foods and times for eating before and after the workout? So what I would generally start people off on is you kind of don't really want to overthink it too much. A little bit of protein before, a little bit of carbohydrate before, anywhere between half an hour to an hour is fine. You could go up to 2 hours, it probably wouldn't really make that much difference. For me, that works best. I kind of steer clear of having a big meal before I train. So steer clear of having like a full-on lunch or a full-on dinner and then going to train. Personally, I find that uncomfortable when I'm trying to exercise, having a really full belly. So all that I look for is a bit of protein to make sure that I'm not going into any sort of catabolic state or where I'm losing sort of muscle tissue by when I train. And then carbohydrate just to fuel what it is I'm doing and make sure my glycogen stores are topped up. And then post workout, I'd always have a protein shake. That's not because the protein shake is going to be some sort of magical thing that is going to lead to more muscle gain. It's more to do with the fact that once I've finished training in the gym, I don't fancy a huge meal and then trying to cram that down just after I've trained. It doesn't feel nice for me. So I find that a protein shake is easy, it's convenient, it's in your gym bag. You can drink it straight away, get the calories in, and you don't have that uncomfortable feeling of trying to plow your way through a full meal. So generally speaking, I would recommend a protein shake. In terms of what I have personally, so 45 minutes before I train, I have a whey protein shake mixed with almond milk and one banana. So I get the carbs from the banana, 35 grams of carbs in a banana, 20 to 25 grams of protein in the whey, and then you've got protein, carbs and fat of small degrees in the almond milk. So get a nice little mix before I train there. 30 minutes before, I have 2 scoops of pre-workout, 1 scoop if it's a less intense training day. And then I find that just gets me sort of in the zone to train. Especially as I train first thing in the morning. That's why I make those food choices. If I train later in the afternoon or the evening, I'll probably go for some sort of real food rather than a shake before. Post-workout, it's very similar. So again, I go for almond milk, protein powder, banana, but also go with creatine as well. And I do have some leucine, but leucine is not essential. That's just a sort of thing for me in terms of when I train, during what period of time I train during the day, is that I feel the leucine gives me a very, very marginal improvement in protein synthesis, but it's not anywhere near that important. So don't rush out and buy a load of leucine thinking it will get you a load of benefit. It just won't. So that's generally speaking, what I do. You can obviously post-workout have more protein. Some people up that. Some people also up the carbohydrate intake as well. It's just generally personal preference, I would say. So the next question is a guy called Robert who is asking how best to track my macros. I already know what my calories and macros should be, but how do I keep track? Okay, so what I would say here is that, there's a few ways that you can do it. A meal plan is one. So a meal plan is effectively your entire calorie and macro intake for the day mapped out for you. So whether it be your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, your snacks, your pre-workout, your post-workout, or anything in between, that's all mapped out for you, and all you go do is weigh it and then eat it. Simple. Now that's my personal way that I prefer to do things for myself. What I generally do is on a Friday evening, party time, what I do is I plan out my meals for the next week. then I go on to Tesco's online shopping, and then I order all of that food, and then I have it either delivered the following day or I go and collect it the following day, and then I meal prep on the Sunday, and then in my mind I'm then organized. I'm organized for all the meals that I want to eat throughout the next week, already pre-planned. All I need to do is take them out of the fridge, out of the cupboard, pack them into my bag, take them with me to work, and I know I will be on plan. So that, for me, that's the way my brain works. My brain is very much in terms of it. I like routine, I like being organized, I like being methodical. So a meal plan really works for me. Having said that, a meal plan doesn't work for everybody. Not everybody can sort of stick to that rigid meal plan every day. Now, that doesn't say you have to stick to the same meal plan every day. You can vary. You can have a different meal plan for every day if you want to be that organized. The other way would do it would be to get like a macro tracking app. So something like MyFitnessPal. If you're in the US, I'd recommend Mike's Macros. You can also get, I think, is it called My Macro Plus? Maybe getting the name wrong. But they're all much of a muchness. MyFitnessPal is the most common and the most well known. And effectively what you're doing here is you're pre-programming in your calories and your macros, and then you're using their database of food to then track what you eat on a daily basis. So if, for example, for breakfast you end up going to Starbucks for a coffee and you end up having a muffin and some sort of cheese toasty thing, what you'll do is you'll search for that on MyFitnessPal. It'll probably more often than not be in their database. You can select that food that you ate. That will then be deducted from your daily calorie intake and your daily macros, and then you'll know what you've got left for the remainder of the day. Then, for example, when you come to a snack and you have an apple, program that in. Again, have a look, what have you got left? You go to lunch, you have something else, maybe you pick up a sandwich, and then you log what that is, and then throughout the day basically you're tracking as you go, and then you're adjusting and tweaking what you eat based on that. A lot of people like that, but I guess you've got to be confident that you can adjust as you go to make sure that you hit those numbers. And what I'd always recommend is that you've got some sort of foods that you know you like and your go-to foods. So for example, if you know that you're down on protein, you need to hit a protein number, things like egg whites, so having an egg white omelette or something like that, high in protein, pretty much no carbs, no fat, and then therefore it's easy to hit those numbers. If you want to go high carb, then you're talking fruits, honey, things like that. So you can then manage those, hitting those macros more effectively. But they're the kind of, broadly speaking, trying to give you an answer in a relatively short space of time. They're the couple of things that I would sort of advise clients to do, is that either meal plan or you track. My biggest problem is beer. How do I cope with that? So alcohol, it's a common question. So don't be frightened of that being an issue. Now, the best thing you can do is, if you're, say, trying to lose weight within a 12-week period, the best thing you can do is give up alcohol. That's going to be your optimum amount of gains. But giving up alcohol is not easy for a lot of people. It's not really in tune with a lot of people's lifestyles, and therefore it doesn't become practical. So you have to find a way around it. Now, again, you can, I believe, I'm thinking off the top of my head, alcohol will be in MyFitnessPal. So if you're tracking, you can have a look at what calories are in the drinks that you're having, and then you can sort of manage around that. Now, if you can, switch to low calorie drinks, so like a gin and a slimline tonic. These have far less calories than a pint of Guinness. So managing what you drink can help. If you kind of don't want to do that, then you're trying to, effectively, you're looking at managing it within your macros. So alcohol has 7 calories per gram, so you have to factor that in. So if your alcohol, for example, has got 200 calories per pint, you're going to have to sacrifice those 200 calories from somewhere in your plan. Generally speaking, the best strategy would be is to take it from carbohydrate to start with. So, for example, if you're having, I don't know, a few pieces of fruit for that one day that you go out and have some drinks, cut those couple of pieces of fruit out. Save yourself some calories, have the drinks. If, for example, you're having some rice with lunch and dinner, for example, halve it or cut it out completely and go for some vegetables, or go for some konjac rice, which has got kind of no calories in it whatsoever, roughly, or go for some cauliflower rice or something like that that's got a lot less calories, a lot less carbs. It frees you up a lot more calories to then have those drinks that you want to have, and effectively you minimize the impact on your overall daily calorie intake. Now, if you're going out for 10, 12, 15 drink bender, then that's going to be very difficult to manage. You've either got to decide not to do that, or you've got to take the hit on that day is going to put me back a few weeks, maybe, depending on how savagely you go after that. That would be how I would deal with alcohol, is opt for lower calorie options, or take, for that one day, take some calories out of your carbohydrate intake and assign them to alcohol. Okay guys, so that is my little Q&A for today. We're going to wrap up the vlog here. So if you found these questions and answers useful, feel free to fire some more at me. If you did like the video, hit the like button. It would mean a lot to me if you did. Helps me grow the reach of the channel, helps me get my message out to more people, helps me help more people with questions like these. So if you do find it useful, it would mean a lot for you to hit that like button. I will see you tomorrow on the next vlog. Thanks for watching.